Here's the thing about the AWS Solutions Architect Associate exam. AWS loves 4-option questions where every choice technically works. The one you pick comes down to whether you know which AWS service is purpose-built for the scenario. Athena versus Redshift. Aurora versus RDS Network Firewall versus GuardDuty. Gateway Load Balancer versus NLB. Today, 10 real exam-style questions. At least 2 of these will catch you off guard. Let's find out which ones. Welcome to PrepMyCert. This is the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate Certification. 10 questions. 10 chances to test yourself before the real thing. Let's go. Starting with serverless analytics. The trap here is reaching for a heavyweight when AWS has a single call answer. A company stores proprietary application logs as JSON in an S3 bucket. They need to run simple on-demand SQL queries against them with minimal architectural change. Least operational overhead? C. Amazon Athena. Serverless SQL over S3, pointed at the prefix, run the query, pay per terabyte scanned. Zero infrastructure. Redshift is a data warehouse. You'd build a cluster and load step you don't need. CloudWatch Logs Insights is for log data in CloudWatch, not JSON in S3. Glue plus transient EMR is heavy machinery for what Athena does in one call. Now scaling. 1 product a day, millions of requests an hour, millisecond latency. Architecture matters. An e-commerce company wants a 1 deal a day site. Millions of requests per hour during peak, millisecond latency, least operational overhead. Which architecture? D. S3 plus CloudFront for the static site. API Gateway plus Lambda for the backend. DynamoDB for the data. Every layer scales automatically, no capacity to provision, no ASG to tune. Storing orders in S3, option A, loses transactional support. EC2 plus ALB plus RDS works, but you tune capacity for every spike. EKS adds Kubernetes overhead. RDS is the bottleneck in both B and C. S3 storage classes. The trap here is the keyword unpredictable. Media files in S3 must survive AZ loss. Some files accessed frequently, others rarely, in an unpredictable pattern. Minimize cost. Which storage class? B. S3 Intelligent Tiering. It monitors access patterns and shuffles objects between frequent and infrequent tiers automatically. No retrieval fees. Spans multiple AZs, so it survives an AZ loss. Standard is multi-AZ, but doesn't save on cold data. Standard IA assumes you know it's cold and charges retrieval if you guess wrong. One zone IA fails the AZ resilience requirement immediately. Now databases. ASG e-commerce, MySQL on a single big EC2 instance, reads spikes destroying performance. E-commerce app on EC2 ASG behind ALB. MySQL 8 on one big EC2 instance, dying under read spikes. Need autoscaling reads plus high availability. Solution? C. Aurora Multi-AZ with Aurora Autoscaling. Aurora replicates across AZs by default for HA. Aurora Autoscaling adds and removes read replicas based on metrics. And Aurora claims 5x MySQL throughput on the same hardware. Redshift is OLAP, wrong tool. RDS single AZ is an HA, and standard read replicas don't autoscale. Elasticache is a cache, not your transactional system of record. VPC traffic inspection. 2 answers mention firewalls and 1 is the wrong kind. A company wants to inspect and filter traffic in and out of a production VPC, replacing an on-prem inspection appliance. Which service? C. AWS Network Firewall. Managed stateful firewall service for VPC traffic, exactly the on-prem appliance replacement. Guard duty is threat detection. It analyzes findings. It doesn't filter packets. Traffic mirroring copies packets out for third-party inspection, but doesn't enforce filtering itself. Firewall Manager is a multi-account orchestrator. It manages firewall configurations. It isn't the firewall. Now the question I teased. 3-tier app with a third-party inspection appliance and a separate VPC. Third-party virtual firewall appliance lives in an inspection VPC. All inbound traffic to the web app must pass through it first. Least overhead integration? D. Gateway load balancer in the inspection VPC, plus a gateway load balancer endpoint in the workload VPC. It's purpose-built to put third-party network appliances inline transparently using Geneve encapsulation, no app changes, no IP rewrites. NLB and ALB front your endpoints. They don't do transparent inspection insertion. Transit gateway hops traffic between VPCs, but doesn't insert the appliance into the path. Now key management. Developers need to encrypt data in their apps at scale. Build a scalable key management infrastructure so developers can encrypt data. Minimize operational burden. What do you use? B. AWS KMS. Managed service for creating, storing, rotating, and using encryption keys with simple SDK integration. MFA protects user logins, not encryption keys. ACM manages TLS certificates, not arbitrary application keys. IAM controls who can use keys, but doesn't generate them or store them. KMS is the keys themselves. IAM is just access control on top. Now capacity planning for a 1-week event. 3 guarantees don't actually guarantee what you need. Need guaranteed EC2 capacity in 3 specific availability zones for a 1-week event. What do you do? D. On-demand capacity reservation specifying the region and the 3 AZs. Capacity reservations guarantee EC2 capacity in specific AZs without a long-term commitment, perfect for a 1-week event. Reserved instances require a 1 or 3-year commitment, way too long. Region-only specifications don't pin capacity to AZs. Read the scope carefully. Region plus AZs is what you need. Now latency reduction for a global personalized portal. CloudFront alone isn't always the answer. Global Web Portal mixes static and dynamic personalized content. Currently single region behind an ALB. Goal: lowest latency worldwide. Best design? B. Multi-region stack with Route 53 latency-based routing. Latency routing measures the actual end-to-end latency from the user to each region and routes to the lowest. CloudFront accelerates dynamic content over the AWS backbone, but the request still has to reach a single origin region. That's the latency you're trying to cut. Single region with CloudFront leaves users far from the origin paying for every dynamic call. Geolocation routes by country, not measured latency. Last one. Killing shared SSH keys. There's a feature that removes the entire SSH layer. Hundreds of EC2 Linux instances managed via shared SSH keys. Security audit demands removal of all shared keys. Least administrative overhead? AWS Systems Manager Session Manager opens an interactive shell over the SSM agent, no SSH ports, no keys to manage, full audit trail and cloud trail. SSM agent ships with Amazon Linux and Ubuntu by default. STS one-time keys still leaves you managing SSH ports and key distribution. A bastion just relocates the shared key problem to one box. Cognito plus Lambda generating temporary keys is a custom build of what Session Manager already provides. That's all 10. So how did you do? 8 or more and you're in solid shape for the SAA C03 exam. 7 or below, that's exactly why you're here. The trick now is you know where the traps are. Comment your score below, I want to see how everyone did. If you want the full experience, hundreds of questions just like these, with detailed explanations for every single answer, check out PrepMyCert.com. Lifetime access, one payment, full refund if you don't pass. The link is right there in the description. Go crush that exam.